Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams, welcome to Eyeshadow Palette Month. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite cool toned eyeshadow shades. Welcome to everybody watching today, thank you so very much for joining me. We are still in the midst of Eyeshadow Palette Month, and today I thought we could talk about some singles that I have in my collection, so not really a palette, but that when it comes to like cool toned eyeshadow, these are the things I'm looking for, you could say. And I have all of those, of course, in my singles collection as well. And I was like, this way it's just a lot easier for me to select. And I hope that most of these are also still available for purchase. I know at least one of them isn't because it came from a palette, but maybe you still have that palette lying about. But this is just as inspiration, not for you to go out and buy these exact shades, but maybe to look for, if you're looking for palettes, like does it have these kind of things in, or maybe also like if you're looking to build your own singles collection, that you can. So that's where we're coming from with this video today. Let's just get to it. Before we get into the video, I would like to tell a little bit more about myself and the channel. My name is Maaike. I've been a content creator for more than a decade. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and eyeshadow palettes are some of my favorite things to chat about on the channel, so I hope you're here for that, so please consider subscribing. So since these are singles, I will be swatching them all out on the back of my arm here, so that hopefully you can get a good look at what these shades look like. And the first eyeshadow, I'm just gonna take these out like from where they were in the pan because it's in no particular order, and this shade was just sent to me by a friend of mine saying this is my favorite Sydney Grace eyeshadow, and I was like, okay, great, favorite Sydney Grace eyeshadow, I have to try that because Sydney Grace is one of my favorite brands for single shadows. If you've never tried single shadows and you love your neutrals, Sydney Grace is where it's at. Trust me, they just do some really wonderful things. And the first shade I then have to show you was sent to me by Esther, and this is Wondrous Night. I would say that this is like, it's got warmth, but it also has a really pretty cooler toned flash. When I swatched it, it even seemed to have a little bit of pink in it, but it's such a good like taupe, but then like, do you see, like on my finger, I feel it has a little bit more gold to it almost. It's such an interesting shade. And I think it can be really pretty if you put this with other cool tones, because depending on what like matte you put this with, I think this is gonna look differently in all the different lighting that you can get. See, that's what it looks like when it hits the light. It's really, really nice and bright, but then it does have that deeper, almost like rosy undertone to it. So stunning. I think that's a really good shade, and Esther knows me so well because this is very much on my street. Next one is from Terra Moons, and this is the shade Carbon, and I have to be really careful with this because this one fell out the pan once completely. I was able to repress it, so I think it has to do with the binding agents, but I think something really nice and silvery and super sparkly is such a good cool tone to look for. Look at how intense this is. This is insane. This is one of the most like sparkly eyeshadow I've ever tried without it being glittery, because this is not a glitter. The camera focuses in on my eyes, so I have to cover my eyes so you can actually see what this has to offer. So this is really sparkly. It's a little bit of a wet formula, and I think that's why it fell out, because it just got a little bit dry. But look at how intense this is. Oh, so pretty. And in a finger swatch, I feel we lose a bit of the sparkle, but when you apply this with a brush, it is so lovely and sparkly and yummy and amazing. So I really enjoy this shade. I think it's so intense. I also have this in like a deeper version, but this, like this in a halo eye, oh, so stunning, so stunning. Of course, there needs to be mattes in here too. There have to be mattes. And here we have the first matte. It's by Sydney Grace. I'm not sure if they sell this as a single, but this is Pecan Pie, which is this really pretty, deeper saturated dark brown that reminds me of like ground coffee or like dark cocoa, like dark chocolate, like cocoa powder, that sort of thing. And that's, I think, a really good shade. It's a shade I always look for in my palettes. I don't love black eyeshadow, but if it has a shade like this, I know I can deepen up the crease. I know I can do liner. I can do a lower lash line. A shade like this will create an instant smoky eye if you have something like it. And for my fair skin and with the cool tones that I love, A lot of a lot of cool tone palettes have black in as their like deepening up shade, but black kills everything in my opinion. Something like this, I think, is far more universally flattering for a lot of people, and it will do the same thing really. So this is a very smooth, buttery feeling shade. Here's what Pecan Pie looks like. It's pretty intense, and here is what that looks like in a swatch. Because it is Sydney Grace, it is a soft formula in terms of, like, not like soft where the shadow flies everywhere, but like a soft formula that's really easy to blend. You can just see from how it swatches that you can just like see it like pulling already a little bit. So this is so, so pretty. And I think on my skin you can see that it has a bit of a grayish undertone. Love it to it. Love that to pieces. One that I know for sure that Sydney Grace sells separately, I think Pecan Pie was like in a mystery bag or something, but they do similar things for sure. But this one I bought myself. This is Concrete Road. This, back when I was doing a series where I was like selecting eyeshadow palettes to create myself, I nearly always gravitated towards Concrete Road as my crease shade. And that's another thing that I want to have in every palette I have whenever I'm selecting eyeshadow, is a good crease shade. Something that I can like use as a transition. Something that like what I'm wearing today, that like sort of sets up the look and just gives the shimmer something to sit against. And Concrete Road is such a good matte for that. It isn't too gray, where it's like too stark and flat. It has a little bit of brown to it, which I feel just makes it super flattering. So that's why Concrete Road is one of my other favorites. Again, it's also Sydney Grace, and I think most of the shadows I am showing you today are Sydney Grace, because that's what most of my singles collection is made up of. So here you can see Concrete Road swatched on the back of my hand, and you can just see, yes, it's gray-brown, but then it has that hint of purple. It goes with everything. Let me tell you, it goes with everything. The next shade is actually from a palette. This is from the Natasha Denona Lila palette, so if you happen to have that palette lying about, maybe you can also take some of the singles out, because I took out the singles I like best. And this matte, I mean, it's like the more purpley version of Concrete Road. I will swatch it right underneath Concrete Road so you can compare, or right next to it because I still have space. And this is just a little bit deeper. Like right there is just a little bit deeper than Concrete Road is. It's a little bit lighter. This still works for me as well, but you can see that they're very much in a similar vein. This just has a little bit more of a purple undertone to it. I prefer that as well, like cooler tone, like mauve tones and like the sort of rosy things I really like, but especially if it has a like slight gray tone to it. So this is the first 5 shades that I have for you today. And the rest that I have for you are going to be shimmers, because I love a shimmer. I prefer it over a matte. Another Sydney Grace taupe that I love. This is one of the best taupes ever created, and it's Tiara. And I will swatch it under Wondrous Night, because I think that Tiara can be quite similar to it, but that Wondrous Night has like that rosy tone to it, and this is more of like a brown, I feel. So Tiara does have a little bit of warmth. It's not too gray heavy, but again, it's super reflective and therefore really, really intense. Like this is so, so pretty. And one of the things that I love about Sydney Grace eyeshadow formula is that it's just so easy to apply, so easy to put on. It wears really well, and I've heard so many people say who are a lot older than me, who say, like, I've got mature lids, and Sydney Grace is like the only thing that will stay put on my wrinkly lids. They just have an excellent formula that works for so many people. So here is Wondrous Night, and then here is Tiara. So I feel that Tiara and Wondrous Night can be quite similar, but you can see that Tiara has a slightly different undertone in the base than Wondrous Night has. So Wondrous Night is a little bit more, it even has a little bit more silver almost. But the shine, I feel, is quite similar. Once the light hits it, these shades look really similar, so you really don't need both. But I do think that Wondrous Night is just a little bit more interesting. Tiara is more of a true taupe, I feel. Whereas Wondrous Night has that hint of like a pinky tone to it. Next up is an oldie but a goodie. I feel like MAC is having a comeback. So many people are raving about their lip liners again. But I wish we would talk about MAC singles again, because this is Satin Taupe. This is such an old shadow in my collection, I should say. This is one of the first like single shadows I ever bought. So should I still be putting this on my eyes? Perhaps not. But Satin Taupe, oh, so good. So good. Here is what that looks like. It has that brown, almost like warm tone base, but then when the light hits it, it just really has a really pretty shine. Satin Taupe is more of a satin shade, so it's not as high shine as some of the other things I'm putting next to it. Those are more like sparkly, metallic kind of shades. Satin Taupe is one that you can wear as a one and done, where you just use different brushes to create the look, and it works every time. Another great shadow, and I don't know if they still do this. I hope they do. I hear so many people say to Cleona, please bring back your round pans, because they're really good. But Shroom, together with Concrete Road, has been one of the shades that I kept reaching for back when I was doing regular videos with my singles palettes collection, and I was like talking about all of the different singles I had and like creating color stories. I mean, it's so much fun to do. But Shroom is such a good, like, I think it's more mauve than taupe really, but it definitely sort of keeps the middle ground between the two. So here is what Shroom from Cleona looks like. Really nice. Again, when the light hits it, it has this beautiful shine. And Shroom, it definitely has a little bit more purple to it than anything we've swatched so far in the shimmer department. It's like if Satin Taupe and Tiara had a baby, we would get Shroom. If you're looking for very affordable single shadows, I can highly recommend looking into Glam Shop, especially if you're in the EU. This is the shade Tombak, and this is their like really intense, high shine, slightly glittery taupe shade. I mean, this is so pretty. In this lighting, it seems to have a bit of green in even. So interesting. These are soft, blendable, and Glam Shop does regular sales where you can get eyeshadow for as little as €1.50. So they are from Poland. They're a Polish indie brand, and they do some really stunning shimmers. Here's what Tombak looks like. Really nice, high shine shimmer. I'm not sure if the green is showing up for you guys on screen, but for me it is. So pretty. It has like golden sparkle running through it. So pretty, and it's like more unlike, it's not just a plain metallic, it definitely has a little bit more sparkle to it. So if that's something you don't like, then you probably won't love that, but I like that. And then one of the more unique shades in my collection, and sadly the brand has announced they're quitting, but this is Luxie Beauty's Starboy, and I've always loved this because this is a silver essentially. Silvers are great cool tones if you can find the right one. But this one has a hint of gold running through it. So it's sort of like silver and gold at the same time. I haven't really found anyone else that does this. So if you still know of something that looks like this, but here is what Starboy looks like. It's pretty light. And then when the light hits it, you get that shift. Really pretty. Good for an inner corner highlight. This is really excellent. This could be a really nice cool tone palette now that I look at it. Like this? All together in one palette, I would buy that. I would certainly buy that. So again, if you hadn't seen yet, these are the 10 shades. This is what I've swatched in the top row. These I've swatched in the bottom row on the back of my hand. So here we have all those shades right there. So let me go over it again. If I remember correctly, we have Sydney Gray's Wondrous Night. We have Terra Moon's Carbon, I couldn't think of the name, Terra Moon's Carbon. We have Sydney Gray's Pecan Pie, Natasha Denona, Sydney Gray's Concrete Road, Natasha Denona Lila. We have, we started over here. What was it again? Oh yeah, this is Sydney Gray's Tiara. Then we have MAC Satin Taupe. We have Cleona Shroom. We have Glam Shop Tombak, and Luxie Beauty Starboy. Those are all of the shades. So thank you so very much for joining me here today. I hope you like this. If you're looking for good cool tones in palettes as well, then this can be a guide for the kind of things at least that I look for. So if I want to like classify something as a good cool tone palette for myself, these are sort of the shades, like inspirations that I sort of look for. I could of course very easily create my perfect cool tone palette using some of these shades as well. As we can now see, these are all really, really stunning, really intense, lovely shades. I think these are so, so stunning. So I hope this video was helpful and that you got something out of it today. Thumbs it up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me. We're still in the midst of doing eyeshadow palette month, so I hope you would like to come back for more tomorrow because I'm currently posting new videos every single day. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.